Ho ho ho! Hello everybody! For the Christmas video I will be using a Stantler. It is supposed to represent Rudolph the reindeer, or at least I think that's what it is called. It's more of an American stuff, not very popular here on the old continent. Stantler is an interesting Pokemon. It is a normal type, so it gets access to a wide variety of moves, but unlike other normal Pokemons, it can use a few more status moves that might come in handy throughout the run. The rules are still the same, so I can only use the starter in combat. I can't use items from my bag in battle, I can't raise my evasion in any way, and lastly, I can't use cheats or glitches. Stantler starts off with an okay moveset. It has tackle, which is a stab, so it is slightly better than usual, but also learns Astonish early. Thanks to our nice base stats, the first couple of fights in the game are somewhat easy. The enemy Pokémon are unevolved, so they can't compare to us, and even if Tackle is unreliable, it is enough to get the job done. The one thing I am worried about is Roxanne, because even if I will have a ghost move, it will still be physical and with a very low base power. I tried to level up to level 19, where I learned Hypnosis. I thought that would save me, but oh boy was I wrong. I somehow missed the Hypnosis 9 times in a row and then lost. So that was frustrating. Thankfully, the next attempt was the successful one. I still had to use Hypnosis to give me enough turns to lower their defense with Leer so that Astonish would do any kind of damage. But as you just saw, Hypnosis is not predictable in either when it will hit or how long it will last. I would have greatly appreciated any kind of recovery. It would have made the fight even longer than what it already is, but also a lot easier, because sure, the rock moves don't hurt that much, but if they can use them 10 times on me, it will add up and eventually I am going to lose. The situation was looking kinda dire when Noseboss came out. I only had half HP left and not that many Astonish PPs either. This time Hypnosis was more kind and landed, but most importantly Astonish decided to show it how it's made. It crit twice in a row, which is very rare, but I will take it considering the previous misses. After all of that, I could take a moment to breathe and complete the Pico side quest. Then I had to face May before leaving town. Her team is a lot easier than the gym leader. No normal resistances, so I can just spam tackle and her Pokémon went down in a couple attacks each. Next, there should be Brawly, but I was not confident considering the type matchup and the fact that I only have Tackle as my attacking move, so I skipped him and went straight to Slateport, where I have to fight the two Team Aqua Grunts. They only have a couple of weak Pokémons, so taking care of them was not exactly a hard task. I was mostly interested in their XP though, because in a couple of levels I will learn a good move. After grinding a little more, I could swap out Tackle for Stomp, a much more reliable and potent attack. With this tool, I went back and stomped, literally, Brawly's team. I was not expecting to one-shot all of them, I thought Makuhita would leave and do half of my HP in one hit, but instead it went down ASAP. After taking the second badge, I can go back to Slateport where I have to face May again. This time she is more dangerous because her starter evolved into a compass can with a super effective double kick. I was not too worried, I knew I would leave one hit and had plenty of firepower to take her Pokémons down. In the end, the fight was even easier than I expected, since she did not attack me. And finally, we are at Watson, the run killer for many Pokémons. Once again, I did not have any great move for his Magneton. I am also expecting to be paralyzed a lot, considering that Stomp makes contact. For the magnet, I decided to put it to sleep and then use a couple of leers to lower his defense, followed by some stomps to put it down. It worked pretty good, and ultimately the biggest threat was defeated somewhat easily. The only annoyance is that I did manage to paralyze and confuse me. This could be a problem for his ace, but thankfully RNG was not feeling too much of a dick today and gave me the Christmas present of not losing 2 dice rolls. I am grateful for the easy Watson fight for once. Anyway, after finding out what Team Magma wants to do, we have to run to the volcano where we find Maxi about to end up on the naughty list. So like the good 10-year-old we are, we showed him the right way. Well, we are a physical attacker, so you already know what I'm going to say. Intimidate is a pain. This run doubly so, because I do have Intimidate for some reason, but unlike the NPCs, mine is a lot less useful, since I can't decide when to use it and it only lasts for the first Pokemon. Flannery is next, and as usual I am only worried about an overhit from her Torkoal, since I know it will do good damage. I unfortunately don't have any special moves to hit her with, mostly because I forgot to teach Shockwave, so I have to either tank the hits or hope for flinches. Stantler decided to take the third option instead and crit the turtle to put an abrupt end to the fight. Well, let's move on to our dad then. Norman often looks scarier than what it ends up being. This time Stomp is good enough to one-shot his lead, so no confusion. And from there, since I know that Slacking wants to counter me, I will just use Leer on his active turns and Stomp while he is loafing to minimize the risk. Hypnosis is good too, but he could wake up in the wrong turn and counter me. This time it did not happen, and we got a very nice kill on the giant. From there, the rest of his team was not a big deal, a couple of stomps each, and it was over. Stantler took a while to get started, but now it's speeding through the game, so don't let me stop you, buddy. We have some presents to deliver. First, to the Team Aqua admin, who has been a very bad girl and only gets a very quick loss. Next is May, who has put some effort in her team, and it shows since I am not able to sweep, and I end up hitting myself in confusion. That's not quite enough to put me down, so even if it takes a couple more turns than what I would like, the victory still ends up being mine in the end. For the Winona fight, I really should have took a peek at Stantler's moveset and remembered that it can learn electric moves because the most dangerous Pokemon on her team it's the Steel type as usual. Skarmory is not going to go down so easily, and if she uses a sand attack, things could spiral out of control. Getting to the metal bird was not that easy either. Stomp is starting to not be that powerful of a move anymore, so they can leave one hit generally. At least nothing bad happens until Skarmory throws a sand at me in turn 1. And then gets a defense boost. What? Needless to say, I was not feeling very confident in my chances, but then a Christmas miracle happened. I get a crit from Stomp at the right time by passing the potion range and defeating the demon before Winona could heal it. Altaria deals some more damage, but thankfully does not knock us out, and with another lucky hit, we can bring home the sixth badge. To ease the tension a little bit, I took on the optional fight against May. Once again, her team is sort of resilient and refuses to be one-shotted by Stomp, which is fair. At least they can have a little bit more screen time this way. I also remembered about Shockwave, so yay, better late than never. Once we defeated May here too, we have to go to the Pokemon Cemetery Tower Mountain to grab the Magma emblem. Once we did that, we can infiltrate Team Magma's base, and after a whole bunch of grand fights, we arrive at Maxi, who is again trying to resurrect Groudon. This time he is able to do so, but since he used the wrong orb, the legendary does not listen to him and runs away. The following fight against him is nothing too impressive. Boot Stomp and Shockwave do about the same damage on my Tiena. The electric move is obviously better on Crobat, but not so useful on Camerupt. It does take a few turns to defeat him, so much so that it might have been worth setting up with Calm Mind. But eventually we defeat him and have to move on to the Team Aqua base, where we find only one of their admins, who is there to buy time for his boss to leave. His team is trash and we can quickly dispose of it, but at last he was successful in his job, allowing Archie to dive in the search for Kyogre. Please ignore the fact that I almost died, that's irrelevant. Next up is Tate and Liza. Their fight can always be a pain, but today I was hoping to get off easy. I have Shadow Ball, so that's some nice damage, and for once I can use Intimidate strategically. I think Claydol will mostly use Earthquake, so if I leave him alive with a -1 in attack, it should not do much. That would be the case if he did not get the crit, that's annoying. Other than that, the fight went pretty smoothly. All of the rest of their Pokémons are a one-shot with the Ghost move. Claydol takes a couple more attacks, but eventually it too runs out of HP, and with that we earned the 7th badge of the region. Before we can celebrate, we have to take on the second double fight of the island though. Archie is back, and this time he brought company. Fortunately, we are helped by Steven too, but as usual this fight is kinda boring. I mostly spammed return, since even with a -1 in attack, It still does good damage, and it is not resisted or ignored by any of their Pokémons. This time too, the enemy Pokémons mostly focused on Metang for some reason. I'm not complaining, he can take all the damage for all I care. Actually, that's better if he does, because in case it gets KO'd, Steven will send out his other Pokémons. Meanwhile, if I get knocked out, the fight ends since I don't have any other Pokémons on me. It would have been interesting to see the two AIs duke it out, but unfortunately that's not how they programmed the game. After a long time of trading hits back and forth, they finally run out of Pokémons, and after getting the dive chain reward from Steven, we can take a dip in the salty pond to find the Seafloor Cave, where Archie is. Somehow, even though he arrived before us, we reach the legendary forest, but that's not a problem since he is hot on our trail. Before activating the orb, we have a fight, and this one is even simpler than Max. Unlike his ground counterpart, Archie has nothing to stop electricity from flowing through his team, so that's one major weakness that we can exploit to make the fight quite easy. From here the story proceeds like usual with the two legendaries wreaking havoc on the region, and so we are tasked with finding Rayquaza, who resides on top of a tower full of holes. That sure sounds like a job for a kid who got his first Pokemon half a day ago. Once we saved the world, we can take on the last gym. I was not particularly worried about Juan. His team is weak to electricity, but I don't think that's my best move. Instead, I used Return because it will do a bit more damage. After Stab, it should be around 150 base power, instead of the 120 from Shockwave after super effective. Of course, Kingdra has to be the fun police. It survives and starts setting up with the help of potions from its trainer. This time, Double Team does not pay off for him, and I am able to land enough hits on it without too many issues. Next is a Victory Road, where the only interesting thing that happens is the fight against Wally. His team is okay against me, but of course the main problem is the electric steel Krampus called Magneton. Fortunately, even though I take a bit of damage against it, things don't go too badly, and I am able to get through him in mostly one piece. The next two Pokémons are a one-shot, so with a little bit of patience we have won every major fight before the Elite Four. Usually I would have leveled up a bit, but today I did not and prepared in other ways. The first member is Sidney, and this time I have a special surprise for him. I can't believe it took me over 70 runs to remember that White Herb is a thing. Then again, it's not like there is a gym leader whose strategy revolves around it. Unfortunately, there is only one available before the league, and it gets consumed on use, so I can't use it for all three teams with Intimidate. Well, Sidney was easy, but Phoebe was not. Unfortunately, one Shadow Ball is just not quite enough to take down her lead, so it can use Curse and defeated me twice. Third time it's a charm, as they say. She tried to use Protect again and failed. This gave me the opportunity to be one turn ahead, and with that advantage I defeated her lead before the Curse. From here, the rest of the fight was not that hard. Some of her Pokémons survived the hit and hit me back, but overall this was all okay, and with a little bit of patience I got through her too. It was a bit unfortunate that her last Pokémon made me use the Citrus Berry, but it's okay, I have enough of them left for the remaining fights. Somehow, Glacia was a problem too. Her team is a lot more tanky than I remembered and eats a return for breakfast like it's nothing. This caused me to lose a couple of times, so I decided to change strategy. I used the Psychic TM and boosted my special stats with the Calm Mind. After a couple of uses, I went on the offensive and started to sweep her with a special moveset, using Shockwave for her water types and Psychic for the others. I had to use one more Calm Mind against Glalie because 2 was not enough apparently. Once I am triple boosted, nothing can stop me though, so that's another one of the Elite Four defeated. Strange. So far, the trainers who I thought would give me problems didn't, but the ones who I thought were easy defeated me twice each. Drake is in the middle. He took me down once, and since I saw the situation was kinda dire, I used a few rare candies to level myself up a little. I attempted him again at level 75, and that small boost was all I needed. Since he too has Intimidate, I opted for special moves, raising my special stats a few times with the Calm Mind against Shelgon. I still used Return on Altaria since it has a lot of special defense, so I think the physical move was hitting harder. But once that Pokemon was defeated, the Psychic Sweep can begin, and immediately end because they all got one-shotted. Last but not least, we have Wallace. Here I kinda cursed myself for not grabbing Thunderbolt earlier, so now I have to deal with him using only the much weaker Shockwave. Here, of course, I exploited Wailord by putting him at low HP so that his water spout would do little damage and started boosting again with the Calm Mind. I think I reached plus 5, at which point he switched to Double Edge, who hurts a lot more, so that was my clue to stop setting up. From here, I just spammed Shockwave against everybody except the Whiscash, Ludicolo and Tentacruel, since Psychic is better for those Pokémons, and in no time I was able to completely annihilate the champions team. Nothing stood a chance against my massively buffed special moves, and that's how Stantler became the champion of this region. The journey was kinda fun. I would have liked more variety in the special moves, but it was nice using Stantler's unique move pool to great effect. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, subscribe if you are not, and ring the bell. Also, feel free to leave a comment. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and see you next week. Bye!